My name is Dr. Katrina Menard. I'm an entomologist here at the Sam Noble Museum of Natural History, and I'm actually a curator of recent invertebrates. So what that actually means for here at the museum is we have a collection of all these different animals in Oklahoma and across the world that don't have a spine. We actually have a paleontology department too that actually works with fossil groups, but these guys are all things you could find today in your own backyard. So I'm going to highlight a few things we have here in our collection because a lot of people don't know that actually the Sam Noble Museum, on top of our awesome exhibits, is actually a really important research collection for other scientists like myself and also future scientists like possibly you. So what I've got here, this is what we call our alcohol collection. These are things that we would keep in a fluid, and that's because when we take these animals out when they're no longer alive, they will shrivel in natural life. So what we do is we keep them in this fluid of alcohol so that way we can still study them. For example, here we have quite a lot of different spiders. This is one of the larger ones we have. It's actually called a aranid spider. So these are ones you see in your gardens and sometimes in trees. They don't normally get this big, but this is a big example. But we also have some other interesting animals like this guy here. You may not be able to see it very well because the fluid around it is brown. What this is a millipede. So millipedes, to defend themselves, actually secrete a really nasty chemical called cyanide. And what happens is they slowly leach this out in our collection, which is what turns the water brown. But if you can see, it's actually about the size of your thumb. And if you look closely, you can see it coiled in there because in real life, these things get to be this big. But even though they secrete cyanide, they're actually pretty harmless. They're like walking cows. All they do is eat vegetable matter and other kinds of things like that. But what's interesting is their self-defense of using cyanide is, even though most of us wouldn't touch it and most of us wouldn't go near it, there is actually a certain bug that feeds only on millipedes. And I'm going to show you an example here. So this is another way that we actually keep our insects. So these are pinned insects, and we call them pin insects because we put them on a pin. And this lets us study them and actually look at them without touching them, which would actually hurt the specimens. We also have information about where and when we collect it. So this is an example of what we call assassin bugs, and it's this one here in the corner that's actually very special. So I'm going to pull that out. So this guy is interesting because first of all, he's warning you that he is something you definitely don't want to eat. So a lot of insects have warning colors. Like when you see a stop sign with red and white, it's the same thing with an insect. By using the colors red, black, and white, it's telling you, dude, you don't want to eat me. And this guy, because he feeds on millipedes, he actually is telling you, don't go near me because all that cyanide that the millipede has, this guy's using for himself. So these guys actually will hunt down millipedes, jump on them, stab them, paralyze them. I know it sounds really gory. And then it feeds on them. And these are the only bugs that feed on millipedes and actually can beat their defenses. So this guy's actually from Brazil. So we have relatives here in Oklahoma, but this guy is from Brazil. So most of our collection is actually like this. It's pinned. But again, when we have our fluid collection, we have all kinds of really cool animals that normally you wouldn't be able to see from time periods all over Oklahoma that have changed. So for example, here we've got a tarantula. So there are a few tarantulas in Oklahoma, but not so much here in Norman. They're more in western Oklahoma. But you can see that we actually have specimens that we could study. And this one here, if you look at the label, tells us it actually was collected, I think it's 1935. So this specimen is almost 100 years old, and it lets us know that tarantulas used to live in this area back in 1935, and we could start to study why are they not there anymore, or if they are there, are they doing okay? So this is an example of that. Kind of shriveled into a ball, but it's a cool tarantula. But this is what we do for our research, is we actually have these specimens for you so you, a future scientist, can study them. So we're keeping them as a jewel box here in our collection for not only our research, but the future.